Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good evening, council members, and good evening, our public guests and staff. We'll now proceed with our Harbour East Marine Drive Community Council for November 6, 2025. Our first item is the land acknowledgement that Halifax Regional Municipality is located in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and traditional lands of the Mi'kmaq people. The municipality acknowledges the peace and friendship treaty signed in this territory and recognizes that we're all treaty people. So now I will exit the chair. This evening, there is the election of vice chair and vice chair. So I get to exit the chair. I'll go over into that seat. And the clerk, do you want me to move?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Okay. Clerk will proceed with the elections.
Thank you all. I will just briefly go over the rules of the election of chair. Any member can nominate any other member or themselves. All nominations require a seconder. I will call 3 times to conclude the nomination period, just to ensure we hear all and any nominations. Following the conclusion of the nomination period, if we have multiple nominations, we'll have an election by way of secret ballot. If we only have one nomination, if we only have one nomination on the floor, that member will be acclaimed. Following the conclusion of the election, we would just ask for a motion to conclude the public hearing and appoint the member or the winner of the election as chair. Following that, the new chair will step into the role and carry us through the election of vice chair, following exactly the same process and format. So, with all of that out of the way, can I open the floor for any nominations? Hearing from Councillor Kenston.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Since we have no need for impeachment processes here tonight, I'd like to renominate our existing chairperson, Councillor Kent, please.
I accept that nomination despite the language he used.
Thank you. I also forgot to mention, yes, if any nominated member should just briefly confirm if they accept the nomination. That's important as well. Are there any further nominations at this time? Asking once. Are there any further nominations at this time? Asking for a third and final time if there are any nominations for the position of chair this time. Hearing none, I am happy to announce that Councillor Kent is the chair by acclamation. Can I just request a motion to confirm the acclamation? Thank you all.
Thank you for that, colleagues. I'm now going to list you share with you a list of rules that I've developed for the next session. I'm kidding. Thank you. We'll now we will now proceed with the election of the vice chair, and I will ask if there's any nominators for the role of vice chair.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Purdy.
Thank you, Councillor Austin.
I accept. Thank you.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Hensby. Thank you. I'll ask again if there are any nominations for the role of vice chair. Second time, any further nominations for the vice chair? Third and final time, call for any nominations for the vice chair. Hearing none, congratulations, Councillor Purdy, as vice chair, our dynamic duo. So, someone move to ratify that. Moved by Councillor Hensby, seconded by Councillor Austin. All in favor? And the motion is carried. Thank you all. Okay, approving of the minutes for September 4th, 2025. Is there a mover? Moved by Councillor Austin, seconded by Councillor Hensby. Any debate over those? Well, and what's your will, Council? Questions has been called. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Approval of the order of business and additions, approval of additions and deletions. Mr. Clerk, is there any that we should be aware of?
Thank you, Chair. I can confirm that there have been no requests received through the clerk's office for additions or deletions today.
Thank you. And I'll ask our councillors, if you have any to put forward. No, seeing none, can I have a mover? Moved by Counselor Austin, seconded by Counselor Purdy. All in favor say aye. As opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Business arising out of the minutes, there are none. Are there any declarations of conflict of interest this evening? Okay, there are none, Mr. Clerk, to recognize that. Motions of reconsideration, there are none. Motions of rescission, there are none. Consideration of deferred business, there is none. Notices of tabled matters, there are none. There are no public hearings this evening. Is there any correspondence, Mr. Clerk?
Thank you, Chair. I can conclude that I have received no correspondence to circulate with this agenda package.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk and councillors, are there any petitions?
Through the clerk's office, I've received no petitions either.
Not seeing any from councillors. No presentations. We do have public participation. We've come to that quite quickly. So there are no names on a list, but I do see we have a couple of members here. There is a maximum of 5 minutes for you to speak if you choose to. We'd like you to keep your comments respectful and on topic and directed to me, the chair. The clerk will hold up a yellow sign when you have 30 seconds remaining, and when your time is complete, the clerk will hold up a red sign. Again, there are no names on the list, but I will ask if 3 times if there are any speakers. Is there any members of the public who would like to speak? Okay, would you like to state your name and your thank you, and your area of residence, please?
Oh, better. Hi, name is John Helmke.
Just 1 second, we'll start your time,
Oh, okay.
and the clerk will have a record. Thank you.
All right. Name is John Helmke. My residence is on Waverly Road here in Dartmouth. The reason I'm here tonight actually came last minute to me. I'm from Halifax, Dartmouth, actually Dartmouth, Westfall, and I was away for 20 some years in Ottawa. Yeah. And I moved back a couple of years ago. One of the things I did while I was in Ottawa is I started comedy festivals. And I started a comedy festival in Ottawa, which is still going 22 years later, and also a comedy festival in the north, in Nunavut and the Territories and the Yukon. Since I've been home, I've been wanting to start something new here. And after last year, when I helped put on the Elbows Up rally that was here at Alderney Landing.
What is it?
Elbows Up.
Elbows up, okay.
Happened here on a rainy day, but we still got 300 people. And I talked to David about it, but I also talked to the Downtown Business Commission on my desire to start a new comedy festival. Determined that downtown Dartmouth would be a perfect location for it. And that's why we've named it the City of Laughs Comedy Festival. We want to, again, build a new festival here. It's going to be a fringe and phase. The fringe aspect is we're going to focus on the same kind of a format that is in the Glasgow Comedy Festival in Glasgow, Scotland, which is the biggest festival in the world. It attracts 5,000 plus people to the shows there. We're not going to do that, obviously, first year, right? But we want to build something that's quite special. It'll be a highly diverse comedy festival. I've done that with every festival that I do. I probably employed more Indigenous comics than anybody else in Canada. I have LGBTQ comics that I work with, other Asian, South Asian, etc., as well as I've had work with French comics, etc. So anyways, a diversity, you'll see in the package that I gave you a little bit more explanation as to what we're looking to do. The reason I came here, and actually I contacted David, is I just think it would be great as we're putting together a festival from this side of the harbor and focusing on this side of the harbor, that if we could get the support of the councillors on this side of the harbor, right, for this festival. I mean, a lot happens in Halifax, and it really came up when I've already discussed this with the Parks and Rec people who have some funding available through the hotel fund. Very supportive of it thus far, right? Our application is actually in review right now. They think, again, because we're in Dartmouth, we're off season, we're looking at September of 2026 for the very first event. It'll run 1 week or 4 to 5 days. It'll take place in venues here in Dartmouth. You can see them all when you go at the front door pretty well, right? You know, the bars and restaurants along Portland Street here, the Legion, down to Jacob's Lounge. We're looking at about 6 to 8 venues where we'll be rotating shows with about 30 comics on those shows and putting on. And the fun thing about it is what we're going to do is also it's going to be a contest for the comics as well as the fringe performers, right? In that whoever receives the most votes and who is chosen as sort of a winner of the festival will get airfare and an appearance at the Glasgow Festival in Glasgow, Scotland. And that's our goal, right? To build comedy. We are, unlike, and I'm not controversial, but unlike the outdoor comedy festival, we are 100% Canadian. And that's all I've ever worked with. I work with 500 plus Canadian comics in Canada. If you name your favorite Canadian comic, I bet you I probably worked for them and worked with them. And Mary Walsh will be a big part of the festival. She's someone I've worked with many, many times, spent a week with her up north back in May. And we've been good friends and worked together on the festival for over 10 years now. And she will be our namesake. I think in Scotland, they give the Billy Connolly Award as the winner of the festival, the Fest Pick. Ours will be the Mary Walsh Award as the Fest Pick for the winning performer for the week. There's not much more to say that, but if there are any questions, if that's part of the format, I'd love to do that. I did save some time. I noticed some.
Thank you very much. If you're finished with your presentation, we usually do offer some time for councillors to have questions, and Councillor Austin, who would be the host councillor, has some questions, and I think there probably will be others.
Sure. I guess my favorite comedian would be Derek Sagan.
I work with Derek every year. You'll see a picture of him when you look in the package.
Hey, I always enjoy him when he's on the debaters.
Yeah.
I was just curious. You've got looking at your pamphlet here. You've got Halifax application in progress. So are you applying to our special event fund?
That's correct. Yeah, with the Parks and Rec, I think it is, or the Parks people, Sherry Dillman, who I've already been in contact with in that application. And as I say, I've been working on the application for 6 months, but we waited for the timing because now it was November 1st when applications are open for the period that we'll be in. So I have a fully draft application going into them. I just thought, again, the more support I can show for it, maybe it's the better. But we talked and she said, it looks really good. It hits she went over what their priorities are. We hit every one of those priorities.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't speak more highly of the venue you've chosen, so thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Is that all? Yeah, thank you. Councillor Hensby.
Thank you very much. Thanks, John, for responding so quickly. We were communicating this a couple days ago by email and stuff, and they provided the information about the hotel levy tax in MILF, but it's the market levy special events funding is now open, so hope you apply for that. I was just kind of curious about the timing aspect because we got the Halifax Comedy Festival in May in 2026,
right.
And then we had the Fringe Festival in September 3rd to 13th in 2026. So I'd like to know, do you see this as competing or complementary to those festivals?
Yeah, absolutely not. It's one of the, I have no desire to compete with any other festival. I have 2 other festivals, and I don't appreciate anybody coming up against those either. And in the festival world, we're good with that. I know the people at Halifax, and that's why I chose September, right, to be off shoulder of them. Right, they're in the spring, we'll be in the fall, and we'll be, some of the same performers, or same level of performers that are in there, but also some new ones and different ones that they're not engaged with. The Fringe Festival, I understand it's I don't think they have a lot of comedy content from what I saw looking through the lineup that they had presented this last year. But we're also going to be, like I said, that's why we call it Fringe and Faves, right? Because again, we want to focus on having solid performers on the stand-up circuit, like Derek, like Lisa Baker, like James Mullinger, et cetera, that we all work with. Also some bigger names like Mary Walsh, many I worked with Ron James, with Rick Mercer, on and on and on. We want to have some names on that as well. But the Fringe aspect we'll be seeking some Fringe comedy acts, specifically comedy acts, obviously, for the festival from here and outside of Nova Scotia as well. The diversity will be a big part of it. We'll be sucked to applications. We're looking for 30 comics. I guarantee you at least, that at least 50% of it will be local. It's like, Nova Scotia local, as we say, right? As long as they have the talent, to be there. And I know there's enough talent here in Halifax and Nova Scotia, for that. The others will be looking for from outside the province, but within Canada. They'll be all Canadian comedians.
And the venues you listed off, quite a few of the downtown establishments. I was kind of curious, what do you anticipate the overall seating capacity of those venues?
Anywhere from 80 to 150. And we're not looking for huge seats, right? Because again, as you can imagine, comedy is a great intimate experience, right? And the smaller and the tighter the crowd, the better, right? So we're looking at, because, you know, they are bars and restaurants, other than the Sanctuary, which will be one of our venues, that one has a 300 seat capacity and it is a theater style, right? We want the Sanctuary really to be our home base, right? Because we're going to do shows upstairs in the big room and downstairs in the small space that they've been developing there, which is apparently still not really available, but will be available certainly by September. But the idea is if we're doing like 30 comics and we're going to have shows every night over 4 nights, rotating them around, right? We're going to give everybody an opportunity to see every act that is in the show by rotating from venue to venue. And therefore, the capacity at 80 to a 150 is not an issue.
So I'm just kind of curious of how, you know, once you have your venue selected, just the overall general seating would be like 3,000 seats, whatever made available for this festival. I'm just kind of curious, like the overall seating
Yeah,
capacity.
we'll run the numbers because again, we're going to assume we're going to probably do it on a pass basis, right? So people will buy VIP passes. They show up the door any show, any night, you know, they get in for those shows, right? We'll also then potentially again have tickets for individual shows managed by the people at the door. It'll run like, you know, the Montreal Comedy Fest does this a lot as well, right? To do those passes, go to the show. Unfortunately, it didn't get there early enough, and it's full. It's sold out. Then they say, well, there's another show just down the road. You can go to that one. We'll be the same thing. We'll be, well, there's another show right next door. You can get that one, or you could just walk across the street, you know, and get that one, right? So we'll have, you know, 6 to 8 shows. We've already got, like I said, 5, 6 venues secured. We're still looking for a couple more, right? That we want to have as backup, you know, so to have at least a maximum, probably 8. But if we get terrific response, we'll do more, right? Because again, the smaller seat size allows us to get more people to rotate through.
Thank you very much, John. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Purdy, do you have anything? Councillor Austin?
Just curious if Alderney is, if you've talked to
I've
the
looked
folks
at it.
here about the theater?
Yeah, I'm familiar with the theater. I talked to them. Until I get a bit more detail as to who I can get in as a headliner, I'm not really willing to commit to that. And unfortunately, when I did get a hold of Laura, the weekend and the week that we're doing is already fully booked. So we can't get it, right? But I hope, again, if we have success this year, we look at that. We want to grow. I mean, we have a 5-year plan, right, to grow it, you know, over those time period. It's not a 1-year commitment.
Okay, thank you. I'll take this opportunity then if I can. I'm glad to hear you've worked with the Downtown Business Commission. I think that, assuming that they're full on,
They are.
and when I'm looking at the map and the expectations. So anytime we have huge gatherings of people, we can come up against some challenges. Their parking is often a big challenge. I know Councillor Austin can speak to this better than I, but I would anticipate, especially the format that you just explained, that all venues will all be active for those 4 nights.
Yeah.
So did you have those kinds of discussions with the Business Commission? Did they bring up any other concerns or areas that you are struggling with getting some resolution to? So that's let's start there.
Yeah,
Question.
we didn't discuss that in much detail, right? I mean, like I would say for myself, I was away for 20 years. I was amazed at how much downtown Dartmouth has changed. You know, when I was there 25 years ago, there was a pizza shop, I think, on Portland Street, and a very dingy bar. And now there's a lot of wonderful venues, you know, here. So there's a lot more activity, a lot more vibe, and a lot more coolness, you know, to this part of the city. And we want to build on that. In terms of, you know, parking, I mean, it's, you know, I come from Ottawa for the last number of years. It's an issue everywhere, right? I know that, right? We've got pretty good transit access, and I think that will be something that will be an advantage, you know, with the ferries for people coming from Halifax, students may be coming from Halifax for shows, et cetera. And people will simply have to find parking. I will talk in more detail, you know, with the commission and again with the venues, you know, once we are fully set and ready to go with it and come up with, are there any ideas and any ways we need to maybe help people with that, you know, and direct them to where parking is, et cetera. But of course, also to take advantage of transit.
Yeah.
You know, public transit.
So another question that that kind of begs me to ask. I'm a member of the Board of Police Commission. We talk about policing and the volume of number of people is bound to be the odd situation.
Yeah.
Have you had any conversations around any of that, or do you plan to?
We have not. We will. I guess, you know, my thought is, I don't think it would be any crazier than a Saturday night in downtown Halifax, in terms of numbers, because we're looking at filling like 6, maybe 8 bars with 80 to 100 people, right? So
Yeah.
let's say that's 1,000 people, at the most. I'm not certain if that is an issue related to downtown Dartmouth in terms of security and police and or even parking, right?
Yeah.
But we'll definitely, be prepared when we get to the point of
Okay,
looking
good.
at
So
that.
if you
in that
thought
way.
of,
Yeah, we
yeah.
think of that. And everything.
And my last question is around a budget.
Yeah.
What would you estimate a budget for this kind of event would be? And we've already spoken about the
Yeah.
festival's grant. How much of that cost will help you with that budget, and where would the other monies
Yeah.
come from?
So budgets with events like this, it can go anywhere, right? I think I was on you guys remind me, I was on the board of the Royal Ottawa Hospital in Ottawa for 10 years. And we used to have a lot of meetings in that. I remember the CFO once said, people, when they're asked by the province, how much money do you need? It's always, how much money do you got, right?
Yeah.
Like we can
Yeah,
spend whatever
that's
you
right.
give us, right? In a festival, I can do the same thing, right? I can get Derek's again, for his amount, or if we don't have that much money, we go down a little lower, right? And we get it for a different amount. I like to pay comics what they're due, right? A lot of events try to get comics really cheap. It's their living, right? And I believe they should be paid as if it's their living, right? So we want to we put most of our money goes into actually paying the performers and the comics. Total budget right now is running around $80,000 for the festival as a whole. We're looking for 30 from the fund. Then we're going to look at getting another 15 to 20 through sponsorship. So we're talking with some companies now on both in-kind as well as cash sponsorship. And then, of course, the rest will be up by ticket revenue.
Okay, and when would you anticipate that the communications with the public and the ticket sales would go up?
After May. We will wait till
After
after
May.
the Halifax Comedy Festival is complete, right, before we go on sale and do full announcement. At this point, again, because we are totally new, right, we're building a website, we're building Facebook. Our first communication piece will actually be connecting with comics to look for applications to get involved. We'll complete our work with the Business Commission as well as the funders and the hotels, is it Discover Halifax, Nova Scotia, or there's the tourism people anyways, right, who help support and help us with getting hotel partners, again, for the event that we direct people to. We'll be working all of that between now and May, so that when we get into June, we fully launch out, in terms of ticket sales. But we'll start a teaser campaign as well, right? One of the things we'd like to do, now that we've already connected with the venues, is we'd like to start maybe doing some shows once a month. So in January, I'd like to do a launch show. I want to do a show with Mary Walsh. And we'll do a show up at Sanctuary. And it'll just be a launch of the City of Lask Comedy Festival will be coming in 2026. And here's the thing we're doing, right? And Mary is a big part of it. And that's why, she's going to be there to show. And then I'd like to do, like I say, a monthly show at the Sanctuary primarily, right? For the big seats. And we may looking at using the smaller venues, again, like the Beaver Den now, which used to be the New Scotland, right? To do a show there, once a month as a part of a competition for the local comics, right? So we get a bit of a screening, right? Because I like to see them as well, right? I don't get to see them, but get them to come on and get an audience voting and say we get a top 2, and these are moving to the front of the line for September of 2027, right? So we just want to start building Dartmouth, downtown Dartmouth, as the city of laughs, and as a comedy location, a comedy target for people that are coming to the city.
Yeah. Well, I'd like to wrap this up by saying thank you. Thank you for
welcome.
choosing our city. Thank you for choosing Dartmouth.
It chose me.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear. We do have that kind of vibrancy and connectivity to culture on this side, and we what you've shared so far is impressive. So
Yeah.
no doubt it's going to be a wonderful event. Look forward to it, and I'm sure if there's anything further that we as councillors can do, just let us know.
Absolutely. Your support is really all that
Yeah.
we'll be looking for in terms of, we think it's a good
Yeah.
idea. Let's make it happen,
Tremendous.
And again, for Tricia, I want to say I grew up in Westfall, and my family business was, I don't know if you ever remember Hungry Jack's Family Restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my dad.
Oh.
So I have deep roots here, and
Okay.
I'm just so happy to be back, and doing so.
Yeah.
And Dad is still alive, and Mom as well. They're doing
Yeah.
well,
Good.
but they're 85, and of course they're home retired finally.
Well, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. Good luck. And are there any further speakers? Colin, if you could come forward and state your name and area of residence. Again?
I forgot my stick. Colin May, District 5. Oh, good news. The pension plan reduction in the contribution rate, which was decided at the May meeting of the pension committee, and I assume that council's already been informed as to that decision.
So I don't recall it.
You didn't know? Oh,
I don't recall it coming forward. Are you sure you're not?
well, you need to read the May 20th, 25 pension committee minutes where they voted to reduce the contribution rate by 1%. Instead, like police and fire, I think, are at about 12, so that would drop to 11,
Would that normally come to
right?
us?
Which has a significant impact on the budget. I just assumed that you were informed in an in-camera meeting that sometime after that, because you can go on, my wife's in the pension plan. It's the most generous and most expensive pension plan in Canada, actually. You know, you get your pension, your full CPP, and your OAS on top. So you end up at retirement earning more money than you end up with a net income higher than when you worked. But never mind. Anyway, that's just that one thing. Last week, Stats Canada annual report on intimate partner violence. And I'm happy to see that the decline in Nova Scotia continues 4 straight years, and we are still the 4th lowest place for that. It's a long document. It's well worth reading. Yeah, that's it. PTSD. I've had it for 8 years. I don't usually talk about it because I get too upset about it. It was following an accident. Anyway, to then read, you know, how difficult it is for police, fire, EHS, and emergency staff, you know. Plus, within our family, we have somebody who hasn't been able to work for 2 years as a member of emergency services, and is only just going back to work. For, you know, I mean, it is such a difficult thing. I mean, I'm not as bad as people who are ex-military or people who served in emergency services. And I don't talk about it because I like to go about my life as though I don't have it. And I guess it's for anybody who has it, they just deal with it in their own way. I went to counseling a couple of times, then I gave it up. You know, I couldn't just go there and talk and cry about how I felt. Anyway, so I think I don't like it when budget time arrives and the usual crowd of anti-police people come up and they have their 5 minutes. And I'm like, if only you knew what they go through. And I was speaking to one of them at the market last weekend. I said, you know, my father was a police officer. He only told me once some of the terrible things that he saw. And I said, there is no way on this earth I would want to do your job. I said, and so when I finished grammar school, I left home and away I went across the world, and I never, although there was bad times, there was nothing like what police, fire, EHS and medical staff and would have to do. Oh, no, I think about the last thing I'd say is street sweeping. I've only seen the truck round twice. So in the past week when it really rained hard, I swept both sides of our block and the drain at the entrance to the common on Victoria Road. And I do that because I don't want the water to come over my driveway. But it'd be nice to see them come round once
one more time. Other than that, I'd just say, thank all of you for your service, all that you have to put up with. And I hope you have a great Christmas and a happy New Year. And thank you.
Councillor Purdy would like to
Oh.
speak.
Thank you, Mr. May. Appreciate your comments. And just wanted to say on the street sweeper topic, I believe that if you call 311 and request your
Yeah.
street, they will put it on the list to have
Yeah.
the street sweeper come to your
Oh.
street if you have a request.
Oh, okay. It's just, it's just in that when it really rained hard the other day,
Yes.
and I could see what, so I just went out and I ended up soaking
Well,
wet, but what
thank
the heck, it
you.
was exercise.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to add, Colin, thank you for being, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and sharing some of your thoughts on PTSD. It matters to us, and I appreciate that you trusted us to be a safe space, and we
Mhm.
wish you well on
Yeah.
that journey.
Thank you. And the same to all of you.
Are there any further members of the public who would like to speak? Second call, any further members of the public who would like to speak? Third and final call for any members of the public who would like to speak. Hearing none, we can now move on to, there are no, item 13, no information reports, items brought forward. Staff reports, 14.1.1, Planning Application 2024-00294, Development Agreement for 119 Merrimack Drive, Cole Harbour. So we have Kelly Greenland here today as the plan. No, you don't. We have Jess. And there we go again. I've called you many names, but I will never be a negative one. So Jess is here today in case there are any questions, and I will leave it to the will of council. Councillor Purdy.
Thank you. I move that Harbour East Marine Drive Community Council give notice of motion to consider the proposed development agreement as set out in attachment A of the staff report dated October 14th, 2025 to allow for the retention of an existing multiple unit dwelling and a new multiple unit dwelling and schedule a public hearing. Thank you.
Moved and seconded by Councillor Hensby. Thank you. Is there any questions or comments on this one? Councillor Purdy.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hensby. And I know that this kind of has urgency to it for the driveway and some stormwater issues. Is this public hearing going to be set for December? Do you know? Like, is it going to be the next available meeting? That's the intent? Yeah. Yep. Okay, perfect. Happy to move this forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Not seeing any further
Call for the
councillors. All questions been called. All in favor, say aye. And those opposed, nay. The motion has. Thank you. Now we have 14.1.2 proposed 2006 meeting schedule. We would all have received the meeting schedule. Is there a motion to move that forward? Moved by Councillor Purdy, seconded by Councillor Austin. Do we need to read the motion out? Would you like that, Mr. Clerk?
Well, yeah.
I'll read it. It's that Harbour East Marine Drive Community Council approve the proposed 2026 Harbour East Marine Drive Community Council meeting schedule as outlined in the staff memorandum. So we've called it and the question has been carried. So did I ask for all in favor? Yeah. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Nay. Okay. That nay was not for me. I just said it. And that motion is carried. No motions, no in-camera items, added items. Are there any notices of motion? No notices of motion from councillors. The date of the next meeting is December 4th, 2025, and it is an annual meeting.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm that will be the annual meeting for this community council, December 4th, 2025. We'll be putting out ads for that shortly.
And just help me understand what's different than this meeting?
So the annual meeting for community councils, all community councils have an annual meeting, and in addition to whatever their public hearings may be on that agenda, there will also be a public hearing and an annual report circulated for that. The annual report just outlines the committee business throughout the year. It has a tally of like how many public hearings, motions have passed, how many public participants, information like that, and members of the public have the opportunity to come and speak for 5 minutes about
Okay,
committee business.
good. Well, thank you very much. And we are only left to a call for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Purdy, and thank you all for coming tonight.
Yes. Every staff person's favorite counselor.